Hello everybody and welcome back to the Tournament of the Old World preliminary limbs of the limb. We've got Jeff the Ref here in a fetching yellow and, let's say, brown, I want to say, outfit today, as he tells us that it is a go-go as we are into the final couple of rounds here between the Skaven forces. Today we have Lord Skrolk here on the right versus Tretch Craventail over on the left. If we have a look now at Skrolk's forces, both of them rather meaty looking forces. We've got a unit of Skaven slaves up here at the front of Skrolk's boys, who are all represented in nice green colour here. They've all got the right clans this time. Some clan rats with shields, just nice basic frontline infantry. He's got a couple of those units, and to his flank there he's got the good old rat ogres, as you can see, big beastie boys. Behind in his middle line in the skirmish line we have a Poison Wind Globadier unit, effective at doing damage over time. Good support. He's flanked by an assassin, Lord Skrolk himself, emanating all kinds of wonderful apple-flavoured oozes. He has a unit of Warplock Jezzails. Now hopefully the AI will actually be bothered to use them properly this time. We'll wait and see with that. And on his rear line, his artillery line, we've got a unit of Warp Lightning Cannons, finally backed up by some Night Runners, basically elite kind of ranged hybrid infantry. Now, across the way is Tretchy Boy Craventail. He had a particularly good round previous, and he's looking to continue that success, really. He has a very different army by comparison. He has a lot of Skaven slaves, but over on his far left flank, he's got a unit of Gutter Runners with poison. Again, another type of missile hybrid melee infantry, effective when needed. He has a unit of Plague Monk Censer Bearers. The Skaven roster is particularly fanciful. There are a lot of different rats to choose from if you were to ever play them. The Storm Vermin with Sword and Shield, almost looking a little bit like some kind of like rat crusaders here. Very impressive looking infantry, heavy armor, big shields, nastier weapons. And then you've got his row upon row of Skaven slaves. There's lots of these. Tretch right in the middle of them over here with his Cubone Marowak like bone helmet on his head there. As you can see, plenty of Skaven slaves just making up a bulk of his front line. And finally he's backed by a unit of Night Runners with slings and a standard unit of Night Runners. And finally, rounding out his force is his own unit of Warp Lightning Cannons. So it's enough chatting, let's fucking get to this. As we can see, both forces are not wasting any time with getting their shots lined up. Tretch's force is large, and thus is going to be kind of a nightmare, I think, for targeting for the Warp Lightning Cannons. We'll see how the Warplock Jezzails handle. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit more focused. They have a slightly more difficult terms. We can see that the Warp Lightning Cannons there just struck the ground between Skrolk and the front line. That's a bit worrying if they accidentally mess that up and cause some friendly fire. Warp Lightning Cannons, I think, are trying to hit the opposing Warp Lightning Cannons, which is a smart idea. We've seen that the Warplock Jezzails did actually cause some light damage. Looks like they killed one of the Censer Bearers, or two or three of them, actually. So it seems like that's their target of choice here. They're taking a few more rounds. The Warplock Jezzails are basically a type of rapid-fire sniper unit, good at being able to do damage quickly to elite infantry or monstrous units like Rat Ogres, for instance, or the equivalent within the numerous playable factions here in Warhammer 3. As we can see, the skirmish lines are now getting involved. The front lines are charging in as the Rat Ogres are going to charge straight into the Storm Vermin with Sword and Shield. Not sure how smart a decision that is. Those Storm Vermin are tough, as we see a lot of abilities all being cast here at the same time. We can see that the Rat Ogres are suffering from poison. They have got Skaven Brew to increase their stats. They're contaminated though. They're blessed with Filth as an upgrade, but they've also been hit with Poison Wind. It's all over the shop. That Poison Wind was friendly Poison Wind because there's none of that in Tretch's force, and the Rat Ogres are immediately fleeing the field. Skrolk is sitting back, probably casting a few spells before he's going to get involved in the fight. Wizards generally don't do well in this game in the melee. Tretch is already in the middle. The assassin is running around. I think he's engaging Tretch. Oh, a unit I did miss, sorry, with Tretch is that he has a unit called a Chieftain, which is a high-ranking melee combatant there for the Skaven. You can see he's stuck into the fight with the clan rats. And we can already tell here that Skrolk is heavily outnumbered in this fight. He's going to have trouble. It looks like the Plague Censer Bearers, though, from Tretch's force are already taking significant casualties. You can see the Rat Ogres over here have just managed to reform, but they seem to be a bit lost, running off in a random direction. Not quite sure what they're doing that. A lot of Skrolk's forces, the ranged units at least, are trying to reposition, trying to get to a better firing angle. I'm not quite sure what happened to the warp blocks. It looks like they're mixed in. Yeah, they're mixed in with the artillery line over here, who all just seem to be kind of meandering about wildly, gaining weight. I'm not quite sure what they're doing. But in the meantime, his own unit of Skaven slaves and his clan rats are desperately holding the front line. We can see there's a horrendous fight going on here. Slave versus slave. Hacking off limbs, tails, pulling whiskers, scratching, clawing, biting. It's all going on here with these Skaven. It's a vicious, vicious fight, and I'm sure it stinks something rotten. We've got the Night Runners there just sitting at the back, doing a little bit of damage here and there, focusing down their targets. Looks like they're currently targeting Lord Skrolk. We can see that Skrolk is fighting Tretch, who's also in battle with the Poison Wind Lobadiers, which means Tretch is going to be constantly suffering from debuffs, although it doesn't help when his own artillery is firing into him and has caused Tretch to, well, Tretch is close to fleeing. That could be a significant tide turner there for Skrolk. Now look at the top of the screen, we can see that Skrolk, even though he seems to have, well, he's outnumbered by nearly 2-to-1 here, he is actually doing alright apparently on the balance of power. I'm not quite sure how it's working that out, but we'll see how it goes. His own Night Runners over there at the back, despite being poisoned, are continuing to fight. It looks like the Plague Monk Censer Bearers are getting kind of thrashed over here with the Rat Ogres, just literally punching them to death here, crushing them underfoot. Plague Monk Censer Bearers, though, are a bit like a crazy fanatic unit. They're very similar to the Imperial Flagellants unit. I don't believe they break very easily, and they do a lot of damage despite being lightly armoured. Strangely enough, the Warp Watchers Ales have decided to, once again, like all the previous battles they've been involved in, have just decided to get involved in the fight. Melee unit versions of this looks kind of hilarious, as there's a lot of green, as some of them just got hit by a Warp Lightning shot. I'm not quite sure what they do in melee. Do they just stick the gun up the arse and pull the trigger? We're not quite sure, but they're there anyway. They're getting in the fight, and they really shouldn't. They should be on a hill sniping away. But recent patches by Great Assembly seem to have broken the AI, and they like to do things their own way. Maybe they have truly gained sentience, and they're not going to follow the rules established by the game or the units of which they inhabit. So we can see here the Plague Monks are getting involved alongside the Clan Rats. Nasty frontline battle going on here between the two sides. Oh, just Plague Monk there just got his arm chopped off. He's bleeding out on the floor. Not a good way to die. Not a good way to go at all. We've got the Night Runners. They seem to have also now gotten stuck in there fighting this one of the numerous Skaven slave units. We can see Lord Skrolk is actually fleeing the field. This is significant. This could be the beginning of the end here. The Assassin is stuck in the middle. Now, he's going to be doing a lot of damage. I'm going to guess that his damage will be high. His kills might be low, but his actual damage output is going to be quite good. He's right in the middle of these Skaven slaves. We can see him down here. Obviously, he's getting pelted. There's a lot of Skaven slaves, obviously. He just decapitated one Skaven, though. And it looks like he's... another hit there. Oh! Special killing maneuver there as he jumps up and chops a rat in half. Does it again, just for good measure, killing another few. His kills are going up there. We can see the Night Runners, though, are already very tired. They're wavering. They're close to fleeing the field. And here comes Tretch. He's back in and has just performed some kind of, I'm assuming, some kind of buff there. Verminous Valor or Stand or Die, I think he may have just used. Yes, I believe that's what he just did. So he's just buffed his own troops. Smart use of his abilities there. At least we've got some kind of possibly a spell being cast. Yet Wither has been cast, reducing his armor by 60. That's going to go across all units in the area. The Skaven slaves are... oh, actually, Poison Wind has just hit damage over time. That Storm Vermin unit is fleeing the field. They are taking a lot of damage. They're losing Skaven every few seconds. A few of them are hitting the ground. They are routing. They are leaving the field. They're routing as well. I'm not sure if any of those will actually manage to come back. And this is quite a shift. It's now... Lord Skrolk may actually win this fight. Pretty much all of Tretch's forces are on the back foot here. The Warp Lightning cans have just been hit with the Poison Wind. That's going to be doing damage over time. Here comes the Assassin. They're being shot by the Warp Watchers Ales. Another round of grenades just for good measure. There was a lot of blood that just spurted out of that Skaven. It was almost like it was just a blood bag ready to pop. And we can see the Warp Lightning cannons. 1, 2, 3 have been destroyed. significant there. Tretch is doing okay. He's got low health, but Skrolk's got less, and he seems to be fleeing the field. He's broken and routed, as are the Warp Watcher Zales. Oh, it looks like more of his units are starting to flee. Can they kill Tretch? If they can defeat Tretch, that would actually mean the end of the fight, probably, but it looks like his Skaven slaves have actually managed to come back into the fight, and now Skrolk is the one he's perilously close to losing this fight. This has been back and forth. This is surprising considering the composition of both armies. Again, two different types of armies, and we've seen it really could have gone either way, but I'm getting the impression I think Jeff's going to call this in a second. There's not enough left of Skrolk's forces. If we look at the number, there's 71 of Skrolk's troops. Just lost another one to 70 against 343 remaining. The assassin is the last enemy that's still fighting. He's fighting the Night Runners, but there's so many troops left it wouldn't take long, and I'm guessing Jeff is going to call this any minute now. As we can see that Tretch and the rest of his troops are running in. The assassin is fighting the Night Runners. They still have a Warp Lightning Cannon up and running, which means that can start pelting, and there we go. Counted as a Pyrrhic victory, but a victory nonetheless there for Tretch Craventail. We'll see if we get the stats. We do. So at the post-battle, we can see that both forces, very different composition. Skrolk had 774 rats, lost 450, had a remainder of 324. Not bad, considering. Whereas the Clan Richter's force, led by Tretch Craventail, had 1,418 rats, lost 687, but still had 731 remaining on the field. We have a look at the units. Skrolk did phenomenally well. 215 kills. Granted, most of those were probably slaves, but still. The assassin killed 60, doing over 3,000 damage in total. The Night Runners, 73. Poison Wing Globadiers got 67. The Warp Watcher Zales, disappointing. They had a lot of targets and only killed 22. That's the AI's poor use of it. The Warp Lightning Cannons, though, were the big stinker for Skrolk's force. The amount of resources that were put into purchasing them really could have just done with just more units. He probably would have won the fight. His Rat Ogres did 43, which again, considering the numbers being posted by some other units, not great. The Clan Rats with shields, 56 and 85 between them, decent. And hell, even his own Skaven slaves did the exact same number of kills as the Rat Ogres. In fact, their damage wasn't that far behind. But going over to the Victor's force, Tretch only killed 24, but he didn't need the kills really, he just needed to hold up the likes of Lord Skrolk, which he did a good job of. His Chieftain, on the other hand, 72 kills, which outperformed the Assassin. His Skaven slaves, going through the list, did 26, 58, 55, and 5 kills respectively, which is, yeah, about average, I think, for a cheap unit like that. They absorbed the losses quite handily, and they did a fair amount of damage in return, combined. The Stormvone with shields, on the other hand, didn't do that well, only killing 37, and even worse from his Night Runners, only got 8. But probably the biggest disappointment for him is his Gutter Runners, that, although they did 2,800 damage, got 0 kills on the field. The Plague Monk Censer Bearers only got 10, and the Night Runners with Slings got 18, but a standout performance by the Warp Lightning Cannon that killed just shy of 198 rats in total. So really, his two MVPs were his Chieftain and his Warp Lightning Cannon, but really the Skaven slaves carried the day, I feel. So it was an interesting fight, and that puts it into the final of Deathmaster Snitch versus Tretch Craventail, and we'll see what happens with that one next time. Until then, thank you all for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.